Joining me now, Treasurer Josh Frydenberg. Appreciate your time. Why are these two states, Labor states, backing away from their commitment? Are they playing politics?
Well, look, that's a question you're going to have to put to them. My point is that we need to reopen our country in a COVID-safe way as one. That means states and territories sticking to the plan that they agreed at National Cabinet. I think it's becoming ever more apparent to everybody across the country that you cannot eliminate COVID. You need to learn to live with it. And what started as a 7-day snap lockdown in Victoria is now going into its 27th day. And that's because of the changing nature of Delta, and it's increasingly contagious. So we need to know that the states and the territories will stick to the plan, because the families watching your program this morning, the small business owners, they need that level of certainty that their lives are going to come back, that their kids are going to go back to school, and that their businesses can reopen.
Yeah, but in WA, those small businesses are open. They're actually making good money because of these border lockdowns. You're saying business has got to put the pressure on these premiers, but that's your job, isn't it? You guys run the country.
Well, more voices absolutely help make the same point, and I've been making, as you know, pretty forcefully the point that we need to, as a country, open up and stick to the plan.
Can you cut
But if you
funding?
look at business leaders, well, firstly, if you look at business leaders that you referred to, proud Western Australians like Kerry Stokes and Rob Scott have been saying in recent days that Western Australia needs to reopen in accordance with the plan, because they're seeing the labour force shortages across that state. I know firsthand that there are a number of Western Australian tourism businesses that are struggling. That's why we agreed a package of economic support in partnership with the McGowan government for the tourism industry in Western Australia, because the border closures and the lockdowns have hurt them. When it comes to our federal government support, which is now tracking at more than $1 billion a week, I've been very clear that there can be no expectation by the states and territories that that level of support will continue once we hit those 70 to 80% targets.
OK, so are you telling us that once we hit that 70%, if states don't open their borders, you will cut off their money?
Well, I'm making the point that at 70 to 80%, you won't need the stringent lockdowns. That's what the Doherty Institute report is telling us. Now, if they go down the path, well, if they go down the path and have lockdowns when you hit those 70 to 80% targets, then that will be against what the report has said should happen. And we need to ensure that our lives can get back to a COVID-safe normal, because that's what we're seeing around the rest of the world.
So you will cut their money off if they don't abide by that?
Well, again, at 70 to 80%, there should be no expectation that the federal economic support that we're providing right now will continue in that way. OK, so that seems a yes to me.
These latest news poll figures show the coalition is in trouble, falling to its lowest primary rating since the 2019 election. Do you think the lockdown and border confusion is turning voters away from the party?
Well, I'm not running a daily commentary on polls, because there was another one just last week which had a different result to this one. There's no doubt, though, that people being in lockdown in our two major states is having an impact on how people are feeling about not just their governments but about their livelihoods. And that is why it's so important to give those people hope. And there is both a health and an economic imperative, Kochie, for Australia to open up in accordance with that plan. I mean, those numbers that you see of young teenagers turning up at emergency departments with mental health issues is skyrocketing, and it's because of the nature of these lockdowns. Yeah,
it's a big issue. We're going to come to that shortly with an expert. But if states don't open their borders on time, will that push the economy into recession?
Well, it certainly will cost jobs. It certainly will see businesses close. It will certainly see our debt burden increase, and it will see the well-being of Australians suffer. I mean, you could have the ridiculous situation where somebody in New South Wales could travel to Canada before they could go to Cairns, or somebody in Victoria could travel to Singapore and Bali before they could go to Perth. I mean, that would be ridiculous, and that is why it's so important that the agreed national plan is adhered to by the states and the territories.
Yep. Treasurer, no, you've got other obligations. Got to let you go. Thank you.
Good to be with you.